Ladies and gentlemen, most people live their entire lives using a fraction of their potential. They wake up, go through the motions, and never truly tap into the extraordinary capacity buried beneath fear, routine, and self-doubt. But the secret isn't about doing more, it's about thinking differently. The key to unlocking your hidden potential isn't locked in your DNA, your past, or your circumstances. It's in your mind, and today we're going to flip the switch. Here's the truth: your brain is programmable, and right now most people are running outdated software, limiting beliefs, conditioned fear, and unconscious habits. But once you learn the mind hacks that change your focus, your energy, and your decisions, you'll realize that the power was never outside of you. It's been inside the whole time, just waiting for you to command it. Let me ask you a simple but life-changing question. What if the limits you feel aren't real? What if the barriers you face aren't out there, but in here, in your beliefs, your habits, your environment, and your mindset? Today, we're going to awaken a part of you that may have been buried under fear, stress, or self-doubt. This message isn't about hype. It's about reclaiming the power that's already inside you with simple, proven mind hacks that can unlock your greatest potential. You don't need a miracle. You need a decision. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. And today, you're going to get both. So lean in, open your heart, and get ready, because the version of you that's been waiting to rise is about to step forward. Let's begin. The questions you ask yourself every day shape the direction of your thoughts, your emotions, and your outcomes. Most people are unaware of how powerful their internal dialogue is. They ask questions that shrink their confidence and reinforce their limitations without even realizing it. Questions like, "Why does this always happen to me?" or "What if I fail again?" trigger the brain to search for evidence that supports those negative beliefs. The mind, like a search engine, is constantly scanning for answers to the questions you present to it. So if you ask low-quality questions, you'll get low-quality answers, and those answers will become your internal truth, even if they're built on fear, not fact. Changing your life starts with changing your questions, because your questions direct your focus, and where focus goes, energy flows. If you're focused on what's wrong, you'll feel discouraged. If you're focused on what's missing, you'll feel stuck. But if you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" or "What's one small win I can create today?" you redirect your brain toward progress. You begin to activate creativity, possibility, and momentum. And this isn't just about thinking positively, it's about thinking powerfully. It's about taking control of the conversation happening inside your head and using it to lead your life, not limit it. High-quality questions are rooted in responsibility and forward movement. They shift you out of victim mode and into leadership mode. For example, instead of asking, "Why am I always overwhelmed?" try asking, "What can I do right now to create a sense of calm?" That one shift moves you from helplessness to action. It gives your brain something useful to do. It invites you into solution instead of keeping you stuck in the problem. And over time, if you make this a practice, your brain will start doing it automatically. That's how you rewire your thinking, not through force, but through consistent redirection. This applies to every area of life. In your relationships, ask, "How can I show up with more love and presence?" In your career, ask, "What's the next bold move that aligns with my purpose?" In your personal growth, ask, "What fear am I ready to let go of today?" These questions are not just prompts, they are declarations. They remind your mind that you are in charge, that you're not a passive participant in your own life. You are the author of it. The most successful people in the world aren't successful because they have fewer problems. They're successful because they ask better questions. When life gets hard, they don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "How can I grow from this?" That mindset turns adversity into fuel. It transforms challenges into stepping stones, and that is the mindset that unlocks hidden potential. not because it changes what's happening around you, but because it transforms what's happening within you. So if you want to shift your life, start by shifting your language. Speak to yourself with intention. Ask questions that expand your vision, not shrink your spirit. Your brain will listen, your body will follow, and your life will begin to mirror the quality of the questions you dare to ask. Your brain doesn't change through logic alone. It transforms through emotion. You can tell yourself something over and over, but if it lacks emotional energy, it rarely sticks. That's why most people struggle to believe new things about themselves. They say the right words, but they don't feel the shift. The human brain responds most powerfully to intensity, especially emotional intensity. When you anchor a new belief with real emotion, you accelerate how deeply and quickly it becomes a part of who you are. You stop repeating empty phrases and start creating identity. You move from information to transformation. Most people are repeating affirmations without feeling them. They stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am strong," but in their body they feel weak. They say, "I am confident," but their posture says otherwise. That's where the disconnect happens. The key is to bring your full physiology and emotion into the moment. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your future depends on it, because it does. Belief is not built on words alone. It's built on the feeling behind the words, and when you feel it deeply enough, your nervous system begins to register it as real. Think about a moment in your life when you felt powerful, unstoppable, proud. Maybe you accomplished something difficult, overcame fear, or stood up for yourself. That emotional energy you felt in that moment, that surge of certainty, is the same energy you want to attach to your new belief. When you say, "I am capable," you don't just say it with your mouth. You remember that moment. You breathe like you did then. You move like you did then. You speak from that place. That's how you condition belief into your nervous system. Repetition with emotion creates rewiring. That's how you replace insecurity with certainty. Your subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between imagination and reality. If you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and vividly imagine your future self walking confidently, leading powerfully, and living boldly, your mind starts to embrace it as truth. That imagined future, when felt with enough emotional intensity, starts to shape your present decisions. And that's when belief stops being a concept and starts becoming your identity. You don't need hours of practice every day to make this work. You need focused, emotionally charged moments. Even 5 minutes in the morning where you breathe deeply, speak your belief out loud, and feel it fully in your body can create massive change over time. It's not about how long you do it. It's about how deeply you connect to it. And when done consistently, that emotional reinforcement becomes your new default. You no longer have to force confidence. You begin to live it. You no longer have to fake certainty. You start becoming it. Belief is not about pretending. It's about practicing. It's about stepping into the version of you that already exists within and reinforcing it until it becomes undeniable. Every time you link emotion to belief, you are programming your future. You're no longer just surviving. You're scripting your rise. You're anchoring truth, building identity, and unlocking the unstoppable force that lives inside of you. The most powerful change doesn't happen when you chase goals. It happens when you align your habits with your identity. People set goals all the time, but few sustain them because they're chasing outcomes without transforming who they believe they are. You don't become disciplined by forcing yourself to act like a disciplined person. You become disciplined by adopting the identity of someone who follows through no matter what. That subtle shift from "I'm trying" to "I am" is where everything changes. Because when you identify with a certain standard, your brain begins to work on autopilot to match that identity. Identity-based habits are the foundation of lasting transformation. Anyone can stay consistent for a few days out of motivation.
But motivation fades, life gets busy, challenges come. What remains consistent is who you believe yourself to be. When your identity is clear, your decisions become easier. You're no longer negotiating with yourself every morning. You're not asking, should I do this? You're saying, this is what I do. This is who I am. That shift takes you from friction to flow. It takes willpower out of the equation and replaces it with clarity and alignment. The mistake most people make is building habits around results instead of identity. They say, I want to lose weight. So they diet and exercise for a few weeks, but deep down they still identify as someone who struggles with health. So the habit never sticks, but if they shift their identity to, I'm someone who honors my body and moves daily, everything starts to align. Their choices naturally follow. They don't have to fight themselves. They simply act in alignment with who they believe they are. It starts with one small habit. You don't have to change everything at once. You begin with a behavior that reinforces the identity you want to embody. If you want to become a writer, start writing every day, even if it's just 100 words. Not because it's a massive output, but because every day you write, you reinforce the belief, I am a writer. If you want to become more focused, start with a morning routine that eliminates distractions for the first hour. Each time you follow through, you're not just building discipline, you're proving to yourself that this is who you are now. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. No vote stands alone, but as they accumulate, they start to tip the scale. Eventually, you reach a point where the behavior is no longer something you do. It's just part of who you are, and that's the goal. Not to temporarily push yourself through another goal, but to shift into a new level of being where those results become natural byproducts. Identity-based habits are not about perfection, they're about alignment. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need to decide, who am I becoming, what habits support that identity, and how can I show up consistently, not because I have to, but because it's who I am. When your habits and identity match, your potential becomes your reality. That's the path to lasting success. Not striving, but embodying. Not forcing, but flowing, and it all begins with one choice to live like the person you were always meant to be. The fastest way to change how you feel isn't to change your thoughts. It's to change your body. Most people try to think their way out of fear, anxiety, or procrastination, but the mind follows the body more often than the other way around. When you shift your posture, your breath, and your movement, you send powerful signals to your brain that it's time to feel different. Your physiology is your greatest tool for transformation, and the moment you learn how to use it with intention, you gain control over your state in any situation. This isn't theory, it's biology. The way you move, breathe, and carry yourself literally shapes your emotional and mental experience. Think about it. When you feel stressed or defeated, your shoulders drop, your breathing gets shallow, and your energy sinks. That posture reinforces the emotion. The body communicates to the mind, we are tired, we are overwhelmed, we are done. And so your brain agrees. But when you stand up tall, breathe deeply, expand your chest, and move with purpose, something powerful happens. The brain receives new input. The message becomes, we are capable, we are energized, we are ready. That small physical shift creates a ripple effect across your emotional and mental state. You don't need hours to change your energy. You need seconds of intention. This is why elite performers, athletes, and leaders all have pre-performance rituals that involve movement. Before stepping into a stressful or high-stakes environment, they don't just hype themselves up mentally. They engage their body. They breathe in power,
Shake off tension, stretch, jump, or pace. Why? Because it works. It activates the nervous system, stimulates clarity, and prepares the mind for focused action. You can use this same strategy anytime stress tries to hijack your day. Whether it's before a meeting, a difficult conversation, or a creative challenge, move your body first, wake up your power before you let fear speak. Breathing is another essential part of this. Most people under stress breathe quickly and shallowly, which triggers the sympathetic nervous system and increases anxiety. But when you slow your breath, deepen your inhale, and lengthen your exhale, you signal the parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. You are literally telling your body and brain that it's safe, that you are in control, and that there's no need to panic. Techniques like box breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing, or even a few intentional sighs can immediately downregulate the stress response. Breath is the remote control for your emotions. It's always with you, and it's always accessible. Your physical state is a tool, and the more you use it with purpose, the faster you'll shift from reaction to creation. Don't wait until you feel motivated to take action. Use your body to create the state that drives action. You don't need to feel confident to move confidently. You move confidently to create confidence. You don't need to feel energized to take action. You move your body and create energy. When you learn to lead with your body, your mind will follow, and in that alignment, you'll unlock the ability to perform, respond, and lead no matter what life throws at you. The body is not just a vehicle. It's a key. Use it, train it, trust it, and it will become one of your greatest assets on the path to unlocking your full potential. Your environment is not neutral. It is constantly shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, your focus, and your energy. Most people underestimate just how much influence their surroundings have on their identity and performance. You cannot rise into your highest self if you are surrounded by chaos, negativity, and distraction. If you want to unlock your hidden potential, you have to prime your environment for growth. That means making intentional choices about the people you engage with, the voices you listen to, and the energy you allow into your space. Because no matter how motivated or disciplined you are, if your environment is pulling you backward, you will always be fighting against a current. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If they're full of doubt, fear, and excuses, that mindset rubs off on you, even if you don't realize it. But if you're surrounded by people who challenge you, support you, and live with passion and purpose, you begin to absorb that energy. You think bigger, you act bolder, you believe in more. That's why protecting your inner circle is not selfish. It's necessary. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to manage your exposure. Limit the influence of voices that shrink your spirit. Increase the presence of those who expand your vision. Your physical space matters too. Cluttered environments often reflect and reinforce cluttered minds. If your workspace, your home, or your digital world is filled with noise, disorganization, and distraction, it becomes harder to access clarity and focus. Your brain is constantly processing the signals around you. When you simplify your space, remove the unnecessary, and create an environment that aligns with your goals, you make success easier and more natural. You don't have to fight for it. It's built into your surroundings. Even your digital environment affects your mind more than you realize. The podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, the accounts you follow, these are voices in your head. If you're constantly consuming fear-driven news, toxic social media, or gossip and comparison, your mental energy gets drained before you even begin your day. But when you intentionally feed your mind with uplifting, empowering, and purpose-driven content, you start your day with momentum. You create an emotional atmosphere that supports the person you are becoming. Rituals and routines are also part of your environment. The way you start and end your day sets a rhythm. If your morning begins with chaos, your day often follows suit. But if your morning begins with calm intention, whether through meditation, journaling, movement, or silence, you create space for clarity and alignment. You train your nervous system to expect peace instead of panic. These rituals don't need to be long, they just need to be consistent. They serve as anchors that stabilize you, especially when life feels unpredictable. You are the architect of your environment. You get to design it in a way that reflects your highest values and greatest vision. And when your environment is aligned with your purpose, growth becomes the default, not the exception. You no longer have to push yourself constantly. You are pulled forward by the very space and energy around you. That's not just productivity, that's power, and it's available to you the moment you decide to build your life on purpose, not by accident. So here's what I want to leave you with. Your potential was never lost. It was simply waiting for your permission to awaken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to become someone else. Everything you need is already inside you. The shift happens when you begin to speak differently to yourself, move with intention, align your habits with your identity, protect your environment, and ask better questions that open the door to purpose, not pain. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of your patterns, and patterns can be changed the moment you choose to interrupt them with truth, emotion, and clarity. Your mind is not your enemy. It's your most powerful ally when trained with love and purpose. So rise boldly, walk forward with faith, and remember, the world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs a present, powerful, and purposeful you. Thank you. Keep showing up. The real you is ready to lead.